FX Nation, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the channel. And in this video guys, we're going to take a look at some of the opportunities that were available for you to trade this week in the market. And we'll take a look at them, we'll break them down for you. And that way hopefully you can learn a little bit about each individual setup. Alright guys, so without further ado, let's go ahead and just get started with this. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and start off with pound JPY. And here we have the Asian range here. This Asian range was about 28 pips or so. We see that out of the box they went ahead and they went up, and they went ahead and created the high of the day essentially here. Now if we flip over to a actual line chart, do you see the M formation there, right? You see it right here. So that was the formation that you could have traded, guys. The type 1 setup. And this was on Sunday, Monday. Now this one went all the way down to about the middle of the range, back to the middle of the Asian range, and that was about 38 pips or so max out of that one. So depending on where you got in and out of that particular trade. But a very nice, clear trade setup. Now, some of you may have been caught on the first one here. Some of you, if you were looking at this, may have thought that this was the first bar, came back for the second, and then would have worked its way down. Actually, they didn't work their way down yet. Some of you that, if you would have gotten in really early, you would have got caught there. And 2 bars up is when they actually made the high of the day for that particular for that pair. If you got caught, let's say if you try to trade this down because you thought that this was the M going down, if you got caught out of that, don't give up on the trade. Okay, you were just wrong, and sometimes you're going to be wrong, but that's okay, because if you would have had your stop loss right here, right above it, right, you would have gotten out of the trade right away with a very small loss. Okay, maybe what, 5 pips or so. But if you would have just waited literally 30 minutes later, you would have gotten the actual setup. And a lot of times, guys, you can just confirm this by just switching over to the line chart. So just switch over to the line chart, see what you see. And so another thing that you could have used, or another tool that you could have used besides just the pattern, and again guys, these are all tools, right? So the EMAs, the TDIs, ADRs, and all that stuff, they're just extra tools that you can use, right? The most important thing is the pattern and the time that it presents itself. Okay, so let's just say you were looking at TDI on this, and you could have seen the crossover here for the green and the red, and the signal red line here, right, which is basically right here on this candle. All right, so again, you can use this stuff for confirmation to let you know, because yes, it was outside of the bands here and it crossed into the bands, but it never crossed the red signal line until over here. So probably like what, 4 or 5 candles later. All right, so having an extra tool like this could help you and avoid and you getting into a trade too early. And this was around 3:45 anyway, so you were right. The time itself was, wasn't that good range, but they just wanted to go up a couple more candles there. All right, so don't get discouraged if you got stopped out here. Just go back and get back into it, okay, once they reach the peak. All right guys, so here we're still on pound JPY. Here's our Asian session, and you can see right out of the Asian session they made 2, or actually just one nice move out to the outside of the box here, came back up, retested it. This is a 3:30 candle right here, and you can see as soon as they had enough contracts, they went ahead and got on their way. So a very nice clear setup here. So there's your W there. This trade here would have been well over 100 pips. Over 100 pips. So slow and steady for about 7 hours. So very nice trade setup. These are the kind of trade setups that you want to be patient for and actually grab. So if you can grab these instead of trying to grab something every single day, and just be very selective in what you pick to trade, you'll be a lot more consistent. All right, so let's go ahead and go on to another one here. This one's pretty simple. All right, guys, so we're still on pound JPY, and here we have the Asian session here. And as you can see, through London, they worked their way all the way to the bottom here, made a nice little decent push here for to make it a type 1 setup, and then we end up getting railroad tracks right here, right at 6 a.m. And then you're looking at obviously well over 100 pips, about 150 pips, guys. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous for a Friday trade. Really nice, clear, and good setup on that. Now let's say you bring in some extra tools to help you with this. And let's say you bring in TDI again. And here's your railroad tracks. Here is your signal crossing. So green crossing red right here. That's your entry. And then the rest is history. All right, this is going to be pound Swiss, and very similar to pound JPY. Same thing here. We have the Asian range, and then they work their way all the way down to about 6:30 or so, and then we see here on the TDI, if we span this out here a little bit, you can see a nice clear W there, bouncing off of the 30 on the TDI, and then boom, the crossed over. There's your entry there, and again, it's all over. Another 130 pips on that trade also. So very nice clear setup on pound Swiss as well. That was this morning. All right, so we're still on pound Swiss, and here we have the Asian session, and of course right out of the Asian session we end up getting a nice bounce off of the Asian low. So it ends up being a type 2 setup. We get the hit to the low, it goes back up, they come back and retest that low again, and as soon as they do, they move away from it. There's your line charts. You can see the W there. There it is. And of course this one here is about 100 pips. So very clear, good setup on the pound Swiss. All right, so we're still on the pound Swiss. Again, Asian session. Right out of the Asian session, we made the first leg here, and then right at around 3:30 or so, the second leg was made. You have your M there. Now, depending on where you would have, taken it, either all the way down here. So made it all the way down, it would have been around 35 pips. If you made it just to the first part here, that would have been about 25 pips or so, depending on where you got in and out of. So this is, of course, from the bottom of this particular candle here. If you would have gotten in earlier, then obviously you would have gotten your 30 pips from here, or down here would have been 40. But a very nice and clear setup here of an M on pound Swiss. All right, so we're on pound USD right now, and here is our Asian box here, and then of course right out of the Asian box, we went up to create the high of the day. Here it is right here. We have the first leg right here, and then it worked for its second leg. If you go to the line chart, you can see the M formation there. And of course, so this trade here would have been 30 pips all the way to past the low of the Asian box there, creating the low of the day. An interesting part about this trade is that if you wanted to, okay, you saw you got an M here, but then you could have gotten a nice reversal as well for the US session. So there's your reversal for the US session. So you would have gotten two trades for one out of one pair, and about 30 pips per trade or so. So 60 pips on one pair in one day, just back and forth from this specific pair. So, all right, guys, we're still on pound USD. Here's our Asian box here, and then you can see they worked their way all the way down, and we ended up getting a nice railroad track right at 6 o'clock again on the pound pair, and as you can see, it took off right from there. If we were to look at the TDI here, we can see that right when we got that railroad track, we ended up getting the cross on the green and red right here. That's your signal to enter, right? So there you go. That's another, as all of the other pound pairs, this one went well over 100 pips. This was about 165 pips on one trade for 5 hours, guys. Really nice pickup there on pound USD. Pound NZD, man, it's the same sad story on pound NZD. This one we got, as you can see on the TDI here, we got a nice W formation here right at 645, and then they actually came back down to retest it again, as you can see here, before taking off. But you know, same thing, guys. I mean, it's the same story, right? 150 pips. They all moved pretty much the same thing on pound pairs today. This is still pound NZD. Here's your Asian box. Here's the fake move to the top to create the high of the day. And then if you switch it over to the line chart, what do you see? You get the M there. There's your type 1 setup. And if you ride that all the way down to the middle of the range, you're looking at about 47, 48 pips, depending on where your entry was. But again, the important thing is that you're seeing these patterns here, guys, without using any kind of indicators. You're just seeing the pattern, right, and the timing. The pattern and the timing. When are these things happening, right? This is the most important thing, guys. You don't need, right, the other things as the EMAs and TDIs and stuff. They're just tools that you can use to help you, okay? But it doesn't replace your ability to be able to see the patterns. That's it. Can you see the patterns? Yes or no? If you can't see the patterns, then you have a problem, because you can't trade this strategy if you can't see the patterns. That's it. Here we have pound AUD, and here is the Asian box. Here's a false move to the high of the day. You go to the line chart, there's your M, and guess what? You're trading that back down, right? And then back to the middle of the range, you see it's about 35 pips. So very nice, clean, easy trade. No indicators needed, nothing. Just what you can see, the pattern and the timing. All right, we're still on pound AUD. Here is the Asian box here, guys. And then on this one here, you can see where price out of the Asian box goes up, comes right back down to retest. So we end up getting a nice type 3 setup here, guys, out of the Asian box. And then the setup here was at 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so they came out of the box, came down to the middle of the range, went up, came back down, retested, and then boom, there you go. And this trade here was about 100 pips on pound AUD. I know somebody who caught this move. Huge shout out to Eric. But anyways, guys, a nice, good, clean setup here on pound AUD. Still on pound AUD, here is the Asian box, and here's the false move to the low to create the low of the day. Came back up, retested it again, and then boom, off to the races they go. Of course, you already know that this is well over 100 pips, about 170 pips. If we bring in the TDI as a tool to help us, here is the crossover. And if you switch over to the line chart, there's your W. So everything just adds up right there, lines up perfectly. So there's your entry, and then there's your result. All right, guys, we're looking at Euro Swiss. And here is the a nice setup here on Euro Swiss. Here's the Asian box. Here's your false move right here in 3 swipes. Comes back up, retest, and then boom, there's your move there. Okay, if we go over to the line chart, there's your W. This one, depending on where you took it and how far you took it up, max could have been 46 pips. But here's another confirmation that you could have used. Here's your TDI right here, coming outside. Here's the cross right there, and there's your W. So very nice, clean, clear setup on Euro Swiss. Still on Euro Swiss, and here is the Asian box. This one we ended up getting a trade that we call trading the edge, and that's basically when the first leg of the M is actually created inside of the Asian range. If you haven't seen a video on this that I made, I'll link it up on the top right corner. It's called Trading the Edge, but you guys can check that out as well. But here we have the first leg created here, and then here came the second leg. Remember, guys, that this started as a blue candle right here, went up to the high, so it's a type 2 setup because it went up to the high of the Asian range, and then boom, went straight down, and as if you can see, of course, it went all the way down. Okay, so depending on where you got out at, where you got in at, you're looking at 35 pips or so, depending on your entry on this. Okay, but again, very nice and clear setup on this particular trade. There's your M formation if you go to the line chart. All right, guys, here's Euro JPY, and here is our Asian box. And as you can see, right out of the Asian box here, they went ahead and made a move that they stayed right at and around the bottom of the Asian range here, came back up, retested it, and then went right back down. I want you to notice how this spike all the way down past the previous low here to get as many people as possible to actually go short on this trade. So once they get people to go short, then they just move away and they shift away from that area. Okay, now this particular trade would have taken you about 40 pips. It's about an hour and 15 long trade, and would have taken you right back up to the top of the Asian range. Okay, so 5 bars, an hour 15 minutes, and you're out of the trade with your 40 pips. All right, guys, and the final trade here is Euro Pound. This is from today as well, and as you can see, our Asian range was very small. We went ahead and we made the false move up, retested it, and then straight down we went. If you switch over to the line chart here, you can see where the M is right there. So very nice, quick and easy trade, along with the rest of the pound pairs that were traded today. If we bring in the TDI, hell, TDI even gives you an M right here as well to trade off of that as well. So there you go. All right, so you can use that as extra, as your confirmation as well. Again, as just an added tool to you being able to see and spot the pattern, guys. Guys, it's all about the pattern and the timing. I can't, say it over and over and over again, but that's just what it is, guys. Don't complicate the trading. Don't complicate the method. It's literally just about the pattern and the timing. Everything else is secondary to it, guys. Trust me, everything else is secondary to it. At no time throughout this video did you see me worrying about counting levels or cycles. Okay? It's good to know what they are, but at the end of the day, you don't need to worry about that if you know how to spot the patterns. So very important, guys. I hope that you guys found some value in this video, guys. Let me know in the comments if you actually found or traded any of these setups today, guys. And again, thank you so much for watching the video. If this is your first time, please consider subscribing. We'd really appreciate your support. Guys, one last thing. Thank you so much for watching my videos. I really appreciate the fact that you take the time to watch my videos. I really hope that I've added value in each of the videos that I make for you guys, and I hope that you're learning something. As always, guys, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Please like and share the videos if you found value in them. And also, don't forget to visit our website at www.fxntradinggroup.com. Once again, guys, thank you so much. I'm truly blessed.